Happy Thursday, loves. If this is your first time checking out my Facebook Live, thank you so much for checking out my Facebook Live. My name is Dani LaBerry. I'm a virtual licensed psychotherapist and a happiness transformation coach. So I typically work with people who are feeling unfulfilled, overwhelmed, stressed out, anxious, maybe a little down. So last week I did a Facebook Live on mother wounds where we talked about how the relationship that we have with our mother doesn't necessarily have to be biological mother, and as a matter of fact doesn't necessarily have to be a mom, but a caretaker, someone in that caretaker role, just how that can impact how we show up in our relationship as an adult. So if you missed that live, I did that live last week, and I figured with Mother's Day being in May, honoring and looking at relationships and how our relationship with our mom impacts us. So tonight's Facebook Live is on nurturing healthy relationships. Now, before we go into nurturing healthy relationships, I want to preface that this is on the idea that you've already eliminated, you've already stopped, you've already put space between you and toxic relationships or you and unhealthy relationships. Now, why do I mention that? The reason that I bring that up is because I like to give the analogy of a closet. If you think of a closet full of clothes, right? And say, for example, you say, Dani, oh, my clothes, they're so outdated, or maybe they don't fit anymore. We could either get new clothes and try to stuff it in the closet that we already have that's full of our old clothes that we know that we don't even wear anymore, or we can take out those old clothes, whether we sell them or we donate them or we give them away. Taking out those old clothes, what happens then? It gives us room. It gives us space in our closet for new clothes. So I bring that up because sometimes we're focused on wanting to attract or create or manifest or have healthy relationships. But if we haven't first gotten rid of or put space between ourselves and toxic relationships or ourselves and unhealthy relationships, then we're not going to be able to allow healthy relationships to show up. So I just wanted to touch on that first. So I have 4 tips. Tonight's live is very short, sweet, and to the point. Be authentic, being yourself. If something feels uncomfortable, verbalize it, express it. Being able to say yes when you mean yes and no when you mean no. Not saying yes when we mean no. So in a healthy relationship, nurturing, and when I say relationship, this doesn't necessarily mean intimate. This can be relationship with your friends, any kind of dynamic between you and another person. The reason I wanted to talk about this is because so much I used to talk about unhealthy relationships, red flags. After we've worked on those things, what does a healthy relationship look like? And then once we have them, how do we nurture them? How do we keep them around? How do we get them to grow? So that's why I wanted to talk about this as well. So say that we've already removed those toxic relationships. We've already put space between ourselves and unhealthy relationships. Now we have room for new relationships that are healthy. Another tip I just want to add, if you're in a space of in between and you're not sure where to meet new people, you can always go on meetup.com. That's MEETUP. I actually have a few different meetups. And that's a platform for different hobbies, different groups, different organizations, different social things, different likes. I said hobbies already. So going on Meetup, Eventbrite, that's EVENTBRITE.com. I'm not paid to give you any of these suggestions, but these are just places that you can meet new people, like-minded people. Now, let's say you're in a space of you have already met new people or people that are more in alignment with the vision that you have for your life, and you're kind of like, how do I keep these relationships going? So being authentic, being yourself, expressing yourself. If something doesn't feel good, say it. Don't feel like you need to hold it in just because you want to please the person. Take accountability for your actions. So that's my second tip. when it comes to nurturing healthy relationships, we are now in a space of I am taking accountability. If I'm feeling something, which that's why I said that earlier as my first tip, if I'm feeling something, I'm going to say it. Trust that I'm going to express it. In the same way that if something is bothering the other person, they should also be able to express it. I'm not going to take accountability or responsibility for other people's feelings. I'm not going to take responsibility or feel bad for other people. That would be a sign of an unhealthy relationship. If I'm taking accountability or responsibility, taking on other people's feelings, taking on other people's challenges, no, that would be codependent. So we want to move away from codependent, unhealthy, to healthy, which is interdependent, which is different than independent. So interdependent, we are each accountable for our own thoughts, our own feelings. We take responsibility. I don't blame someone else for the way that I feel. They're not blaming me for the way that they feel. We each as individuals take accountability for our feelings and for our thoughts and our choices. Third tip of nurturing healthy relationships is communication. Don't rely on the other person just to know how you feel. Like, you should just know how I feel. Don't rely on someone just knowing how you feel. We are not mind readers. Even if it's like, couldn't you tell by? No, unless you say something, I'm not. And this kind of is it's a like kind of like a piggyback on number two of taking accountability for my actions and my thoughts. If something's bothering me, I'm going to say it. So I'm going to think that if something's bothering you, you're also going to express it. That's where the importance of communication is, and having that, being able to be transparent. So communication, let me just add, communication works both ways. So just like I want to be able to express if something is hurtful or whatnot, if I want to be able to express that to the other person and expect that they're open to hearing me, I also need to be that space as well. So if they're sharing with me how they feel, or if I've done something that's been hurtful or offended them, then I also need to be able to operate in such a way where I don't feel defensive, where I'm not retaliating on the person or attacking them. So keep that in mind. Just like you would want someone else to be a safe space for you to express, we too want to be a safe space for them to be able to express. So staying calm, not attacking. So I want to recap before I do number 4. Be authentic, be yourself. If something doesn't feel comfortable, express it. Take accountability for your thoughts, for your actions. If something's bothering you, say it. And just like how if something's bothering you and I want you to say it, I want to be able to say it too. So number 3 is communication, having that transparency both ways. My last tip is show appreciation. So in nurturing healthy relationships, it's easy for us to take people for granted. It's easy for us to take things for granted. We get very caught up in life and just going about and doing things that we forget sometimes to say thank you, or we forget sometimes to show appreciation. Hey, I appreciated that you did that. So that is my last tip for tonight's Nurturing Healthy Relationships. Thank you so much for watching my Facebook Live. If you have any questions or anything came up for you, please don't hesitate. You can send me a message here on Facebook. You can also email me. My email is Dani, Dani, at DaniLaberry.com. I hope you have a great night, and I will catch you next month for next month's Facebook Lives. Take care of yourself.